Today on Fox News Live, from their fairy tale wedding to her very unhappy ending, get the inside story on Charles and Diana's stormy marriage. Plus, it's a cancer warning. Your food could be fatal. Find out why and how to protect yourself. Then she's hot, hot, hot. Survivor Jerry Manzi bears all for the pages of Playboy. That's today on Fox News Live. Tonight, a congressman under fire. Former Attorney General Ed Meese weighs in. Then, just who picked up the phone when Carolyn Condit called? That's tonight, only on the Fox News Channel.
Fox on top of the search for Chandra Levy, 91 days missing now, and still no sign of the missing intern. D.C. police say 2 weeks of searching Washington parks is enough. Good morning to you. I'm John Scott. The park search is coming to an end, but the investigation is not over yet. Fox's Rita Cosby is on top of the story now, live from Washington.
The search for missing intern Chandra Levy will be scaled back by the end of the week. Washington, D.C. police say the 50 police recruits who have been combing the city's parks for clues will soon return to their training. The recruits would probably not be used again unless police get a significant tip that would require that level of manpower. The recruits have been scouring wooded areas for 2 weeks now and have found nothing believed to be connected to Levy's disappearance. With Levy missing now for almost 3 months, D.C.'s Assistant Police Chief Terry Gaynor tells me police are frustrated and they are entering what he calls the dog days of the investigation. He says police will have to be patient and methodical in their search for clues, since at this point there are no major leads pointing to what happened to the 24-year-old government intern. Robert Levy, Chandra's father, says he realizes that the grid-to-grid search of Washington must end. He said Saturday that he doesn't know what else police can do after the search, but added that he just wishes police did that search 12 weeks ago. In their attempt to cover all their bases now, police have tried to interview everyone living in Levy's apartment building. But to date, not all apartments are accounted for. Police still aren't sure who's living in some of those apartments, since in some cases, the apartment owner has leased it out. Residents who have come forward and spoken to police have provided no new leads.
So the bottom line, the search for Chandra Levy in Washington parks is coming to an end. Recruits who've been doing the bulk of the searching will go back to their regular training by the end of the week. All right, let's get you caught up now on the latest headlines. Over to the Fox News desk we go, and Lauren Green once again. Lauren.
Hello again, John.
Hey.
Thank you very much, and hello, everybody. A worm is slithering through computers with Microsoft NT Windows 2000 operating systems. The virus causes widespread slowdowns and sporadic outages on the Internet. Code Red spreads during the first 20 days of the month. Then it tries to knock the White House website offline. Infected computers are expected to launch another spread of Code Red tomorrow night. Government and corporate leaders have scheduled a news conference this afternoon to discuss the danger. President Bush's choice for FBI chief goes to Capitol Hill later today. The Senate Judiciary Committee begins the confirmation hearing for Robert Mueller. He's expected to be grilled about plans for reforming the agency. Ohio's Medina County Fair plans to reopen despite a deadly weekend explosion. 4 people were killed and dozens were hurt when the steam engine on an antique tractor exploded last night. It blasted steam, hot oil, and shrapnel up to 100 yards away. Investigators say they're focusing on a possible steam leak as the cause. A huge explosion near a West Bank refugee camp killed 6 Palestinians early today. All are said to be members of Yasser Arafat's Fatah movement. Later, witnesses say Israeli helicopters fired missiles at a Palestinian police headquarters in Gaza City. There's no immediate word on casualties. Mount Etna put on a spectacular show over Sicily this morning. The volcano's eruptions continue, but the lava flow appears to have slowed. The region remains on high alert. And coming up, NASA's hunt for stardust. That story at the bottom of the hour. Now more Fox News Live with John Scott, joined by Linda Vester. Hey,
Linda is with us on a Monday morning.
Just pinch hitting for a friend, Bridgitte.
Yeah.
Since she's getting ready to have her baby. Did anybody check with her, by the way, to see? I mean, her doctor told her that it could even be this past weekend.
I just assumed that the newsroom grapevine would let us know.
Right.
We'll have to get her on the phone here pretty quick and find out how it's going.
Yeah.
And how's it going on Wall Street? It's another big earnings week, and how is the street preparing?
Senior business correspondent Brenda Butner is in Fox Central. She's standing by. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, guys. Well, there was green on the screen at the opening bell this Monday morning. That's always a nice way to start the week. But about a half hour into trading, let's take a look at the big board. The Dow right now dipping, well, actually it's positive now. It had dipped to the downside, up about 2 points, and the Nasdaq down about 5. Wall Street can't quite make up its mind which direction to take. It's been all about earnings for the past few weeks, but finally earnings season is drawing to a close. The number crunching, however, doesn't end, and Wall Street will really be watching economic stats for any sign that the slowdown is itself slowing. The highlights of the week are the July jobs report on Friday and the National Association of Purchasing Management Index on Wednesday. These are reports that Alan Greenspan and company watch closely, and there are just 3 weeks to go before the Fed's next meeting, so they may be the last big numbers before a decision on interest rates. The markets are expecting yet another rate cut, probably about a quarter point. But the way investors have been reacting to these cuts, 7 this year already, basically with a yawn, don't count on any big pop on either Wall Street or Main Street. What could give the markets and the economy a boost? You. At least that's what the White House and Wall Street are hoping for. The checks in the mail, your tax rebate. You may even already have cashed it. What you do with those couple $100 is anybody's guess, but if you spend it, that could help retailers, restaurants, and show up in economic numbers in August and September. One stock on the move this morning, shares of Heller Financial way up after GE Capital, a subsidiary of General Electric, agreed to buy the commercial finance company for more than $5 billion. Heller shares up nearly 50%. Under terms of the deal, GE Capital offered about a 50% premium to Heller's closing stock price on Friday. GE shares down a bit on the news. And another quick check of the markets a half hour into trading this Monday morning. The Dow up still just about a point, and the Nasdaq down about 3. After last year's wild week, it's nice to see things a little bit calm, though. So we'll take it for now. Back to you.
The search for Chandra. D.C. cops are continuing to comb the nation's capital for any clue, but how much longer will they keep on looking? Assistant Police Chief Terrence Gaynor joined our Fox and Friends gang.
Why has the department decided to scale back at this point?
Well, scale back might be the wrong term. What it really indicates that we've exhausted the search. By the end of this week, with the 2 classes we have out there, some 50 officers, will have searched all the open fields in the District of Columbia. That, combined with the searches of the abandoned buildings we did several weeks ago, means we've hit all the spots we can.
Now, what about dragging in the river there? Is that something that your department would handle, or is that someone else's duty?
Well, dragging the entire river or sections of it would not be productive. Early on in this investigation, we did look along the banks, and our boating unit continues to do that, but dragging is not something that would work in this case or any other case.
Alrighty. Now, I understand that there was a 4th interview with Representative Condit, and we have heard that there were rules that were in place set there by his attorney, Abby Lowell. Can you tell us what were the parameters that you had to keep to?
To my knowledge, there were no parameters. The Metropolitan Police Department and FBI conducted the interview last Thursday. We're taking the information that we gathered then and factoring in to the other 3 interviews we did, as well as all the information we've picked up over these months. Then we'll see how that helps our strategy.
So from the information you have, there were absolutely no rules that were asked for by Mr. Condon's attorney.
Well, the one major rule he asked for that we wouldn't discuss in public, what was said in private to the police, and that one I'm sticking to.
Okay, but and does that also include whether or not there were any other rules in place?
To my knowledge, there were no other rules. Our agents and FBI agents and Metropolitan Police Department detectives did what they had to do during that interview.
Alrighty. What about a 5th interview? We're hearing rumors that there might be the need for one. What do you think?
Oh, no, that's way premature. I think the information that we've gathered is sufficient at this point. We never rule out that we may talk to someone else again, but we really have to remember neither the congressman nor his wife is a suspect in this case.
And for more on the Chandra Levy case, joining us, the former president and National Association of Legal Investigators, and also a former homicide investigator, Paul Cialino. Paul, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, John.
You got a feel for the D.C. police. They're under the microscope on this one, and there just doesn't seem to be a whole lot to go on.
Well, they need to be under the microscope. They got behind the ball so late that they can't recover now, and they know it. And now they're tap dancing. They have some serious problems with this investigation.
Such as?
Well, the congressman is being treated as a foreign dignitary. He's, believe me, there were rules when he sat down to be interviewed. He doesn't hire the kind of legal talent he's hired without having some kind of rules.
That makes a lot of people suspicious. I mean, if your goal is to help find this young woman, why does it seem that his first concerns are all about him and protecting himself?
Well, it's an interesting dynamic. When President Clinton was having all his problems, the congressman was making public statements. He should come clean with the American public. He should have full disclosure, etc. Now he's got a brigade of attorneys in front of him, and he doesn't like the rules as they're being presented. It's a pretty interesting dynamic.
You're critical of the police for not jumping on this one from the start, but at the same time, there are an awful lot of people who disappear in this country. Many of them turn up after a few days. If you got a report that this young woman was missing, I mean, can you fault the police for not lighting all the fires to get her found right away?
John, you got to look at the background and history of the person who's missing. If someone who's missing has been involved in aberrant behavior for a long time, or has a history of drug abuse, or is perhaps a prostitute or something of that nature, then maybe you don't jump on it right away, because they, in all likelihood, will turn up at a later date. But with a young lady like this, who has a solid family background, has no history of aberrant behavior, when you get a call like this, you have to treat it almost like it's a young child missing, because foul play should be first and foremost in everybody's mind once you get a background on this kid.
You said that the 3 hours or so that they spent searching Condit's apartment, you call that a joke. Why?
Well, it's ridiculous to do a really competent crime scene search. It takes sometimes days to do it. You're looking for microfibers, for hair, for spots of blood that may not be seen to the naked eye. 3 hours in there is just we're just taking a look around and see if there's any major blood splatter on the wall, or there's some serious indications that there was a violent crime committed there. You go there weeks afterwards where people have had a chance to sanitize the scene. It's pretty worthless for 3 hours. If you spend 12, 15, 20, or 2 days in there, then you do a much more thorough search.
The scouring of the D.C. parks, do you think that that was helpful, or was it done mostly as a show for the media?
Well, I think it's helpful, because if they didn't search and something was found there later, they would be blistered in the media for not looking. So it's something you have to do in these searches.
Paul Cialino, expert investigator. Thanks for being with us today, Paul.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.
I'm Colin Spencer, live in Washington at the D.C. Police headquarters with a Fox News alert. Fox News has learned that D.C. police recruits, while combing through the parks here in the local area of Washington, D.C., have found several items that may pertain or may be pertaining to the Chandra Levy investigation. At one of the sites, which is at Roosevelt Park, which is right off the Potomac River, they're saying that they found a pair of pants and a handbag. Now, there's a special investigator that is on his way to look over at the items to see if they have anything to do with the Chandra Levy investigation. Right now, they're not saying what they know. They will be contacting us later to let us know. This has been a Fox News Alert. I'm Colin Spencer.
The pain was awful. It got so bad I wanted to lie down. Then I rediscovered Extra Strength Bayer. Nothing's proven stronger, not even the leading prescription. And aspirin can help save your life.
Bayer. Take it for pain, take it for life.
There's no other bar quite like it. The white stripes are a moisturizing cleanser. The pink stripes have a nourishing lotion with vitamin E. They work together to create Dove Nutrium. It nourishes your skin to a healthy, radiant glow.
Wouldn't it be nice to think that lowering your cholesterol...
Nothing to it.
Was this easy? Well, think again. And start thinking about oatmeal crisp. As part of a low-fat diet, it may help lower your cholesterol. And its plump raisins and crispy flakes with a touch of brown sugar are a really delicious way to do it. So quit dreaming. Wake up to oatmeal crisp and help bring down cholesterol.
Why are so many people switching to IDT long distance?
5 cents, actually. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for joining IDT. Enjoy the savings.
Because we offer the simplest low-cost long-distance plan available. Just 5 cents a minute, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for every state-to-state long-distance call you make. We don't waste money on celebrities and gimmicks. We just offer the best long-distance available at the lowest possible price. Just 5 cents a minute, all day long, every single day of the week. And IDT has 6-second billing, so you never get charged for time you don't use. No complicated billing plans with rates that change depending on the time of day. No prepayments for time you may lose, and no annoying 1010 numbers to dial. Just the best long distance available at the lowest possible price. For real savings in the real world, call IDT right now. We're waiting for your call.
5 cents a minute, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. IDT long distance. No one does it for less.
Illinois, a botched holdup in an Aurora supermarket leading to a standoff with cops. The would-be robber surprising workers at closing time, a SWAT team moving in, leading several employees out the front door, more cops moving in behind a bulletproof shield, negotiating with a gunman. And after a tense 2 hours, the whole thing ending peacefully. West Virginia, heavy rains turning roads into rivers outside Charleston. Cars and trucks submerged, mud all over the place, water flooding basements and backyards, upsetting local folks and even this donkey. Texas, heavy rains here too, slowing but not stopping traffic in Houston. One driver in a compact car bogging down, ready to abandon ship, but trying not to get his feet wet. Another driver pulls up alongside, and with some acrobatics, the rescue's made, and everyone drifts dry. Arizona, a huge hive of killer bees taking over a backyard in Tempe, setting up shop in a hive measuring 4 feet by 3 feet. An exterminator team called in to do battle with the estimated 75,000 killer bees. First smothering them in smoke to calm them down, then breaking off a chunk of the hive and soaking the inside with a pesticide cocktail. The exterminator says he feels bad about killing them, but the bees, definitely a threat. And that's a Fox Watch. Across America.
We are awaiting the arrival of President Clinton. The former president will be here for his first time, his first morning at work in his new office. But first, let me show you live. There's a protest. A group called the New Black Panther Party is holding a protest on the side here where the president will be speaking in about an hour and a half or so. They object to his putting his office here in Harlem. They think that Harlem should be mainly for African Americans, and so they've been chanting, "Our streets, our streets." They are the only negative voices here for the former president's arrival and the fact that he has chosen his office here in Harlem. There will be a massive celebration here that will last about 3 hours of speeches and parties and prayers, all celebrating the choice of a office building on 125th Street for the former president's new headquarters. The office, of course, costs about $350,000 a year. It may be the most expensive office space of a former president, but a lot cheaper than his first choice. Remember when he wanted that office in Midtown Manhattan near Carnegie Hall, the price tag of that one, $800,000. Basically, he was shamed out of going there, so he came here to Harlem. His new office space, a penthouse, 14th floor, top story of an office building with fantastic views of Central Park and the Midtown Manhattan skyline. We're told it's light and airy, and the office furniture designed by, guess who? Madonna's brother. He's an office designer, and he designed the office furniture for the former president's office space. Meanwhile, we are now waiting for the events here to begin. Let me show you what's going on right now. People gathering here, crowds, waiting for the former president in about 2 hours. He's expected to address the crowd. This 3-hour celebration will include a bevy of local politicians, as well as Mrs. Clinton, his wife, and others, as they await the former president and his new first day in his new office on West 125th Street. Eric Shawn, Fox News, back to you.
Still ahead, the Chandra Levy case. Police have no answers, so is it time to move on? Give us your feedback.
We want to know what you think. The number to call, 1-888-TEL-FOX, or email us comments@foxnews.com.
Other airline credit cards give you 1 mile for every dollar you spend. But only the Delta SkyMiles credit card from American Express gives you that. Plus, you'll always get double miles at supermarkets, drugstores, and on Delta tickets. On top of 5,000 bonus miles just for getting the card. Watch how quickly all those extra miles add up to your free vacation travel. We can't say the Delta SkyMiles credit card is twice as good as other airline credit cards, but you might. Call 1-800-SkyMiles to apply now.
Your typical airline credit card gives you 1 mile for every dollar you spend. But only the Delta SkyMiles credit card from American Express gives you that. Plus, you'll always get double miles at gas stations, home improvement stores, and on Delta tickets, on top of 5,000 bonus miles just for getting the card. Watch how quickly all those extra miles add up to your free vacation travel. The Delta SkyMiles credit card, faster than your typical airline credit card. Call 1-800-SkyMiles to apply now.
Dry and sunny every day. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? Especially if you experience occasional loss of bladder control. That's why Poise is the only pad that's custom fit to keep you drier. The center is gently raised to bring protection closer to you. And it's wider at one end, so you place the protection where you need it most. For a close custom fit that keeps you drier than any other pad. So every day feels dry and comfortable.
Your pet's exact same heartworm and flea medications delivered to your door for less than you're paying now.
It costs less than buying from my veterinarian.
Took less than 5 minutes to order. You don't have to make an appointment. You don't have to miss work. Now I call PetMeds and get my pet's heartworm medication delivered right to my door.
The exact same flea and tick medications you get from your vet.
Only they're cheaper.
1-888-PET-MEDS. We deliver savings and convenience on HeartGuard, Advantage, Frontline, and all other pet medications. Call to order now or order online.
Are you one of the millions of American males who would like increased sexual energy? If you've been considering Viagra as a solution, consider something different. All-natural Enerx. Clinical studies show various ingredients of Enerx enhance sexual energy, increasing desire, performance, and satisfaction. Enerx is all-natural with no side effects. With Enerx, you'll feel the increased energy within minutes and with no chemicals. We're so sure you and your mate will be completely satisfied. We'll offer you a 30-day, no questions asked, full refund. Enerx stimulates sexual energy by expanding the blood vessels, causing increased blood flow to specific areas of the body. Unleash the power of Enerx now.
Call 1-800-367-7960 toll-free, and it will be delivered discreetly to your home. Get results using the safe, all-natural alternative, Enerx.
All right, Fox feedback time. We are talking about the Chandra Levy case. Question is it time to move on?
After all, it's more than 3 months now. We are also taking your email comments. That's comments at foxnews.com. Also the phone number 1-888-TEL-FOX. Diane on the phone now from Ohio. Diane, what do you think? Is it time to move on?
Oh, there is no way they can stop investigating this case. There is no way that woman called him 8 times in one day and then took and left that apartment without her cell phone. She also wasn't grabbed out front by a stranger, or she would have been kicking and screaming. Somebody would have heard her. If she's left and gone by herself, she has no means of support for 12 weeks. This man is up to it, up to his Cheshire Cat grin, and so is his wife. She knows exactly what his lifestyle is. He's been cheating on her for 30 years. And I'm so irate I can't stand it. They cannot stop this investigation.
All right, I take that emphatic comment as a big yes. All right, Diane, thank you.
Let's get a guy's perspective. Stephen in Florida is on the line with us. Stephen, what do you think? Time to move on?
It's definitely time to move on. You've gone through Rock Creek Park and, pardon the pun, but policed the area, found nothing, and now we're attacking Congressman Condit's appearance on Point of View show.
But what if you were that girl's parents?
If I was that girl's parents, I think I would stay out of my driveway in front of the cameras and be probably in Washington, D.C., discussing this with the police.
All right. Stephen, thanks.
All right, to California now. Pamela on the phone. Pamela, just curious, you don't happen to live in Congressman Condit's district, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, just curious. So what do you think? Is it time to move on, or should the police stay on this?
Absolutely. The police and you and your coverage, your excellent coverage, should stay on top of this. Hopefully it'll
make them, or whatever's happened to this poor girl, somebody crack in this case. A lot of this investigation should have been done a long time ago, and I think the media and the public staying on top of whatever happened and the investigators needs to happen in order to get this very suspicious case unraveled.
You know, at the same time, though, they are talking to convicted sex offenders who are registered in the D.C. area.
Absolutely. This all should have been done a long time ago, as well as her apartment neighbors should have been interviewed, and his staff.
Yeah. Okay. Pamela, thank you for the phone call.
Let's go to Minnesota. Christine is on the line with us. Christine, are you one of those people who's tired of hearing about this case?
Well, it's not so much that I'm tired of hearing about it, but from past experience, I think that would tell you that, you know, it's the average Joe that ends up finding these people. You know, the jogger, the fisherman, the hunter, whoever's just out, just happens to be out, is the ones that's finding these bodies. I mean, it's never...
At the same time, by putting her picture out there, by making people aware that this woman is missing, don't you think it helps bring about the chances of that kind of discovery?
Well, and I think everyone pretty much knows about it by now, don't you? I mean, I think that the congressman should put a halo on and start talking more and start confessing, since, you know, he's a public servant. I think that it's about time that he really quits hiding behind his lawyers and starts telling more, because I believe that there's more that he knows than he's saying.
All right. Christine in Minnesota, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks for all the phone calls.
Indeed, sir. If we didn't get to you, but stay in touch with us, because we're going to continue sampling people's opinions throughout the day.
And you have a little more coming up for us?
We do. We're going to stay on top of the Chandra Levy investigation, but also still to come here on Fox News Live. President Bush taking on some big issues this week. We are live at the White House with the details. And then you've probably seen the ads for pork, you know, the other white meat. Well, it turns out that hog farmers have a beef about having to pay for these ads, whether they want them or not. Is that really fair? We'll report so you can decide for yourself.
Refinancing your mortgage may be easier than you think. Just log on to ditech.com or call 1-800-71-FIX. Today's low fixed rate with 0 points is only 6.990%. With interest rates lower, now may be a great time to get cash or use the equity in your home to consolidate bills. It's smart money from ditech.com. Apply online or call us at 1-800-71-FIX.
Out here, I'm in command. So am I supposed to say, slow down, guys, I'm constipated? I don't think so. You try to eat right. Sometimes you can't. Harsh chemical laxatives, they can kick in whenever and wherever. Not an option. So I rely on doctor-recommended Metamucil. It's got 100% natural fiber. Works with my body, gently, which is important to a sensitive guy like myself.
Metamucil, the doctor's natural choice for regularity.
You are always growing, learning, discovering, and nothing should stop you, especially not your health. That's why Liberty was created. Liberty is a leader in home delivery of diabetes testing supplies and respiratory medications. They help you manage your health. Liberty delivers what you need when you need it right to your front door, and delivery is free. All the top brand names that you know and trust. If you're on Medicare and suffer from diabetes or a chronic respiratory disorder, call Liberty. They work directly with Medicare and have specialists available day and night to answer your questions. A chronic health condition can be a lot to manage, but it doesn't have to define who you are. By taking care of the details, Liberty lets you take care of being yourself, and life gets easier. You are stronger than you think. You have power. You have freedom. You have liberty. Call 1-800-340-3293 for free information.
Tonight, 3 months and still at square one? Get an insider's look at the search with private investigator Terry Lenzner on The Big Story with John Gibson. Then it's $1 billion license to steal. Pentagon credit cards. Who's footing the bill? It sure ain't your Uncle Sam. Details on Special Report. It's the most powerful primetime lineup in sight. Only on the Fox News Channel. The search for Chandra. You found your #1 source for the latest findings. Then the DC disser strikes again. Bill Maher lets her rip. Tonight, only on the Fox News Channel.
I'm Colin Spencer, live in Washington, D.C. at the police department. Fox News has just learned moments ago that D.C. police recruits found a switchblade at one of the park sites that they're searching right now. Now, police are sending out a crime scene search unit to investigate to see if this has anything to do with Chandra Levy's disappearance. This on top of already finding a pair of pants and a handbag at another site in which a special investigator is at to try to determine if this, again, has anything to do with Chandra Levy's disappearance. I'm Colin Spencer, and this has been a Fox News Alert.
Fox News Live, I'm Lauren Green. Firefighters are getting the upper hand against western wildfires. Cooler air and lighter winds are helping bring a 4,500-acre fire under control near Jackson, Wyoming. Folks who had to leave their upscale mountain homes last week may get to go back today. The fire is about 70% contained. In Washington State, a fire near Chelan continues to run wild. It's only about 10% contained and has forced about 36 families from their homes. The firefighters have contained a 6,000-acre brush fire along the Columbia River. It started at a lumber mill and threatened several homes. West Virginia's governor is touring more flood-ravaged communities today. A 3-year-old boy drowned in a weekend flash flood. Hundreds of homes and businesses were flooded. West Virginia's southern coal fields have been hit with heavy rain and flooding 3 times this month. In northern Washington State, 4 people died in a small plane crash. It came down in a backyard of a residential area about 5 miles southeast of Tacoma. 2 other people are in critical condition. The cause of the crash is being investigated. And in Michigan, a Spirit Airlines plane was forced to make an emergency landing in Kent County because of smoke in the cockpit. The 162 passengers on board were headed to L.A. from Detroit. They were transferred to another plane. NASA may try again tomorrow to launch its Genesis spacecraft. A technical glitch held up today's scheduled liftoff. The Genesis mission is to collect stardust from the sun. Scientists hope the captured stardust will help explain the origin of the solar system. A capsule is slated to bring back the sun samples in 2004. Coming up, the best smelling and maybe best tasting event in the country. That story at the top of the hour. Now more Fox News Live with Linda Vester. Linda? Best smelling, best tasting.
That's got to be good.
That's as far as the hint is going to go. That's it.
Well, tune in at 11 and you'll find out.
Okay. See you then.
All right.
Thanks, Lauren. All right, let's take it back to President Bush. He's been in office more than 6 months now. So we here at Fox asked Americans how they're feeling about him. And we found out that nearly 3 out of 5 of you, 59% to be technical, have a favorable opinion of President Bush right now. But we also asked people how they're feeling about former President Clinton these days. It turns out more than half of you, 51%, do not feel so favorably. But back now to the current president. With that, White House correspondent Wendell Goller, who is on the North Lawn. Wendell.
Linda, it is the last week before the president and Congress take a month-long summer recess, and time is running out on the president's summer agenda. He will spend this week pushing a legislative agenda his aides had hoped would show the compassionate side of his conservatism. He had hoped to have a new education bill, his faith-based initiative, and a Patients' Bill of Rights to sign before the summer break. It looks now like only the Patients' Bill of Rights has a realistic prospect of a vote on Capitol Hill, and even that is in doubt. White House is now denying reports at the end of last week that the president is willing to compromise on where people can sue their HMOs. It had been suggested at the end of last week he would allow such lawsuits in state courts in addition to federal courts. But Health and Human Services Secretary Tommy Thompson said on Fox News Sunday yesterday, Mr. Bush still is demanding a Patients' Bill of Rights that helps patients more than it helps lawyers.
The president has been very clear in that. He said he wants a good bill, and he will not accept a bad bill that is going to increase the amount of litigation and probably, and this is something that I personally am very concerned about, and I know it will happen, will increase the number of people that will be uninsured. We have 43 million people that are uninsured currently in the United States. Why increase that? Well, you know, when you can pass a bill that everybody agrees 90% with and pass a bill that the president can sign.
Meanwhile, the president took a couple of setbacks on Capitol Hill last week. The House ordered the White House not to change the new standards on arsenic in drinking water that President Clinton ordered in his final days in office. And on Thursday, the Senate moved toward tough new safety rules for Mexican trucks that the White House fears would force a violation of NAFTA. Administration officials say the NAFTA standards are tough enough and that special standards for Mexican trucks would be discriminating.
The president will address the National Black Law Enforcement Executives Association's 25th annual gathering later today. Mr. Bush will press his faith-based initiative today. The president says that prohibiting religious organizations from competing for government contracts to provide social services is itself a form of discrimination. Linda?
Wendell Goller on the North Lawn of the White House. Wendell, thank you very much. And so we're looking at another story out of Washington. Ooh, this is a big scandal. Some of our military officers may have been abusing some government credit cards. Pentagon is questioning certain purchases, looking for answers, and it looks like a certain number of people are going to be in big, big trouble. Correspondent James Wilson has been investigating. He's got the details in Washington. James?
Hey there, Linda. It seems some of our fighting men and women might better be called our spending men and women. Congressional investigators finding a troubling paper trail here showing abuse of credit cards issued for official Pentagon purchases. According to the House Government Reform Committee, you're looking at a live picture of its hearing right now. One soldier blew $3 grand at a nightclub, and an Army reservist's wife, she spent $13,000 on a shopping spree in Puerto Rico. And a Marine officer and some card holders under his supervision allegedly conspired to make $400,000 worth of fraudulent purchases. We're talking DVD players, Palm Pilots, laptop computers. Now, Iowa Senator Charles Grassley, a Republican, helped uncover this fraud, and he found it's part of the culture at the Department of Defense.
The Department of Defense has created an army of spenders. With the Department of Defense credit card in hand, they have almost unlimited authority to spend money. There are no controls, no responsibilities, no accountability.
All told, the issuance of 1.8 million credit cards to military personnel has resulted in $9 billion in debt. Most of that is legitimate. However, one of the 5 banks that issues these cards had to swallow nearly $60 million in bad debts run up on these cards. The House Government Committee, the Committee on Government Reform, I should say, is hearing right now from auditors, and later on they will hear from commanding officers at some of the military installations involved in the worst cases of fraud. Reporting live from Washington, James Rosen, Fox News. Linda?
Imagine those commanding officers are going to have some hard questions. James, thank you. Straight ahead here on Fox, we're going to be joined by a guest a little bit later in the hour to talk about what it's like being an intern in our nation's capital and whether the Lewinsky-Levy things are really typical of what's going on in D.C. Also, a battle between the law and some farmers. A report when we return. Also, our InstaVote question of the day, do you think Bill Clinton will run for office again? Register yes or no by calling 1-866-362-7655, or to make it easier, 1-866-FNC-POLL.
David Asman from the Fox Newsroom. Today would have been the 20th wedding anniversary of Prince Charles and Princess Diana. We'll talk to the first person who interviewed the royal couple after they announced their engagement, coming up in about an hour right here on Fox.
Time to relax. What a time for bad heartburn. Try Extra Strength Mylanta. It works on tough nighttime heartburn fast. So go ahead, relax, if you can. Extra Strength Mylanta.
Could I have some of that new, I can't believe it's not butter, sweet cream and calcium?
I'm afraid we only serve that in the Mega Ultra Platinum First class.
New, I can't believe it's not butter, sweet cream and calcium. Outrageously great taste.
Your toothbrush lives in a pretty questionable neighborhood. Your bathroom, home to millions of airborne germs. Introducing the first antibacterial bristle protection toothbrush from Butler Gum. It's the only one treated with a clean coating that prevents germs from flourishing on its bristles. 3 antibacterial brush heads are included. It keeps itself cleaner, no matter what moves into the area. Get the new antibacterial bristle protection toothbrush, only from Butler Gum.
15 million people in America have type 2 diabetes, and my own grandmother lost her battle. If you have type 2 diabetes, it's more important than ever to watch what you eat and exercise regularly. And if that's not enough, ask your doctor about adding Avandia to your daily routine. Avandia is different from some diabetes medications. It helps your body use the natural insulin it's already making to help lower your blood sugar. With the addition of Avandia, a lot of people have been able to lower their blood sugar.
Avandia in combination with insulin may increase the risk of serious heart problems. Because of this, talk to your doctor before using Avandia and insulin together. Avandia may cause fluid retention or swelling, which could lead to or worsen heart failure. Avandia is not for everyone. If you have severe heart failure or active liver disease, Avandia is not recommended. Some people may experience weight gain with Avandia. Premenopausal women may be at increased risk of pregnancy. To check for serious liver problems, blood tests should be conducted before and during Avandia therapy.
Diet, exercise, and ask your doctor about adding Avandia. You can be stronger than diabetes.
This is actually the day where Paula Poundstone they're going to set the date for her preliminary hearing. That's essentially where they'll lay out the case against her. Now, the comedian is charged with 3 acts: committing a lewd act on a child under the age of 14, as well as endangering other children. The alleged victims believed to be her own adopted and foster kids. Poundstone, of course, pled not guilty to those charges at her arraignment in June. But in the meantime, the judge ordered her to stay away from 2 of those children. He also prohibited her from being around any child unless a guardian or parent is around. Poundstone, of course, is the comedian known for her wacky suit and tie ensembles. Her shtick is basically having to do with humorous reflections on single motherhood. She started training to be a foster parent in her early 30s. She's 41 now. At the time of her arrest in June, she had 3 adopted children, including 1 with cerebral palsy, as well as 2 foster kids. Now, earlier this month, her attorney said that at the time of her arrest, she was at a Malibu rehab facility being treated for alcoholism. Her attorney adds that her drinking problems clearly had a bearing on these allegations against her, but he says she is innocent. We're live in Los Angeles. I'm Juliette Huddy. Back to you.
Juliette, thanks very much. And now on to a battle over pork and taxes. For once, it is not about those ridiculous spending projects that Congress sometimes approves. The government is charging hog farmers on every single sale they make, and some people say it's for a good cause. But is it? Or is it actually keeping farmers from bringing home the bacon? We report, you decide.
Dale Lessline does not have a choice. Every time he sells a hog, Lessline has to pay up.
The government is making us pay this tax against our will.
By law, all hog farmers must surrender 45 cents on every $100 they make.
That figures out to a little over $50 million a year, or $100 a minute.
The money goes not to the government, but to the Pork Producers National Council.
There is an alternative to the ordinary.
The Pork Council is in charge of getting people to eat more pork.
Pork. The other white meat.
Putting together pork ad campaigns and doing pork research. But some small-time hog farmers charge the council is stealing their money, only really helping the big hog farms.
They are taking my money to put me out of business. I mean, because they've been promoting large, promoting bigger.
We represent everybody, whether it's a niche market or a large corporate producer. We represent them all.
To settle the dispute once and for all, the tax was put to a vote last September. Hog farmers nationwide shot down the tax by 1,500 votes.
We did everything they told us to do, and then when we won, they decided we didn't win.
You see, after the results were in, the Pork Council filed a lawsuit claiming the election was unfair.
The vote had an awful lot of problems with it. There were many flaws. In fact, there are nearly 4,000 more ballots than there were voters.
In democracy, you get voted out, you're done. You know, you're through. That's what it's all about.
But while the controversy is penned up in federal court, the hog farmers must continue to pay. In Durango, Iowa, Steve Brown, Fox News.
All right, back now to our top story. Between Chandra Levy and Monica Lewinsky, Washington interns have been big news in recent years. But are their stories giving us a distorted view of what being an intern in D.C. is really like? Joining us now to sort of separate fact from fiction is Brad Fitch. He's Deputy Director for Congressional Management Foundation. That's a nonpartisan group, and he has written a guide for interns in D.C. It's sort of about learning the ropes. Brad, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
I think we probably do need to let people know that what Monica Lewinsky experienced and what Chandra Levy experienced are really not typical. In fact, don't you find that a lot of interns almost never even get to interact with their boss on the Hill?
Well, it varies from office to office, depending upon where you're working. If you're working in an office that takes internships very seriously and wants the interns to have a good experience, certainly they'll have an opportunity to interact with members of Congress or the senior staff. But sometimes, yeah, you may work in a Senate office or in an agency department and really have only interaction with the mailroom staff and get a really good understanding of how the copy machine works.
What are some of the common problems that interns face? I mean, what do you sort of tell them to expect? When you write this book and say, here's what you're going to run into, what do you tell them?
Well, the first thing they have to experience is their introduction usually to their first professional environment. Often they are used to going to school and used to waking up at 11 o'clock in the morning and perhaps not really putting on a suit and tie and getting used to the regular things that you and I have gotten used to over the years. We also try to train them to be a little circumspect. If you're working in a congressional office, you might be answering the phones and you might be the first person that the public has contact with. And that's a very important responsibility. So you try to give them a little training, a little indoctrination, a little orientation on what it's like to deal with the public.
But you want to prepare them for odd situations. I mean, Washington is a kind of buttoned up town, but, you know, when you're working, say, on the Hill, and you're junior, you never know. I mean, don't you also prepare them for kind of odd situations?
You try to. It's impossible to predict every particular situation. Our book also tries to give interns a good orientation to Washington. There's a chapter on safety in Washington to try to prepare young people who are often living in a large city for their first time on some of the do's and don'ts and smart things to do to act safely. We've also put in a chapter on ethics to try to give young people a little understanding of the important responsibilities and the consequences of violating those responsibilities in a congressional office or in any public office setting.
What about sexual harassment? Having worked in Washington, I mean, it's a leading question. I want to ask you more, but what do you put in about sexual harassment?
We added a chapter in this year's edition on sexual harassment. Like corporate America, Capitol Hill is becoming more aware of the need to orient their staff and to young people about sexual harassment. With Monica Lewinsky and Chandra Levy in the news, it's obviously important to apprise people of what their rights are and what they should do if they feel that they've been put in an uncomfortable or inappropriate situation.
I mean, you've been around there. I've been around there. I mean, Bob Packwood was not an isolated incident. And, you know, although people don't say other names out loud, they certainly say behind the scenes that there are other members of the House and Senate who have a reputation. So how do you make the interns wise to what may happen, you know, in the hall, for that matter?
Well, I think, and I'm speaking now as someone who worked on the Hill, I think it happens less with interns than it does perhaps with junior staff. In fact, I talked to a couple friends of mine who've been on the Hill as long as me, and we can't remember of any similar incident like this unless you go back about 20, 30 years. But you do have to make young men and women aware of the situation that they're going in and try to give them an indoctrination into what is the right thing to do if a situation like this arises. But as you said at the beginning of the interview, most internships are just good symbiotic situations where the intern is getting a good experience learning about the practical aspects of government, and the office is getting, in exchange, a little free help.
Brad Fitch of the Congressional Management Foundation. Brad, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Still to come here on Fox News Live, there is a very nasty worm that is slithering around some computers, a brand new virus, and apparently it's about to launch into a destructive new phase like today. Is your computer at risk? We will tell you next.
The fat that you find in meats in particular, when it is grilled over a very hot fire, can splash down into the coals, spit back up, and then produce carcinogenic containing chemicals that would then get into the meat.
That's what we're talking about in Fox RX Health News. Could barbecued meat give you cancer? We'll explain next.
Report is coming up next.
Out here, I'm in command. So am I supposed to say, slow down, guys, I'm constipated? I don't think so. You try to eat right. Sometimes you can't. Harsh chemical laxatives, they can kick in whenever and wherever. Not an option. So I rely on doctor-recommended Metamucil. It's got 100% natural fiber. Works with my body, gently, which is important to a sensitive guy like myself.
Metamucil, the doctor's natural choice for regularity.
When was the last time you slept like a baby and woke up refreshed? Shiloh Inn's affordable excellence.
When was the last time you stayed at a hotel where you had a clean, comfortable room and sincere, friendly service, all at an affordable price? Come stay and save at Shiloh Inn's Affordable Excellence.
There's a simpler way to save for the things you want. The Orange Savings Account from ING Direct. Everyone gets the same high 4.4% rate. With no minimums, no fees, and without changing banks. It's the simple way to make the most of your money. Call 1-800-ING Direct for great rates on savings, loans, and mortgages. 1-800-ING Direct. Are you one of the millions of American males who would like increased sexual energy? If you've been considering Viagra as a solution, consider something different. All natural Enerx. Clinical studies show various ingredients of Enerx enhance sexual energy, increasing desire, performance, and satisfaction. Enerx is all natural with no side effects. With Enerx, you'll feel the increased energy within minutes and with no chemicals. We're so sure you and your mate will be completely satisfied. We'll offer you a 30-day, no questions asked, full refund. Enerx stimulates sexual energy by expanding the blood vessels, causing increased blood flow to specific areas of the body. Unleash the power of Enerx now.
Call 1-800-367-7960 toll-free, and it will be delivered discreetly to your home. Get results using the safe, all-natural alternative, Enerx.
How much PC can $849 get you? More PC than we can tell you about in 30 seconds. The compact Presario 5000T. Let us build one for you. Call us direct at 1-800-336-1366 for all this, and we'll double your memory for free. A super-fast Intel Pentium 3 processor, CD-ROM, accelerated graphics, pro-quality audio system, monitor, one-touch internet access, lots of memory, plus 5 color choices, red, green, blue, purple, and orange, and that's just for starters. Hey, do I have time to mention the...
Every once in a while, there is a nasty computer virus that does a lot of damage. So this one we're telling you about, a very sneaky computer bug, is making its way around right now and very possibly to your computer. Fox News correspondent Mike Emanuel has more details. He's live in Washington. Mike?
Well, hi, Linda. The code red computer worm is expected to strike again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Experts are calling code red a serious threat to Internet users. Government and corporate leaders will sound the alarm against the computer bug at a news conference this afternoon here in Washington. The code red worm infected more than 250,000 systems in just 9 hours earlier this month. Some say that figure could actually be as high as 280,000 systems. Experts say the way it works is the worm scans the internet, identifies vulnerable systems, and infects the systems by installing itself. The code red worm slows the speed of the internet and can cause random but widespread failures among all types of systems. The spread of the code red worm, expected tomorrow evening, could disrupt personal and business use of the internet for applications such as email, electronic commerce, and entertainment. This worm is working its way through Microsoft operating systems. It defaces websites with the words, quote, hacked by Chinese. Experts say the code red worm has mutated, so it may even be more dangerous than when it first attacked about a week and a half ago. The pattern has been for the first 20 days of the month, the worm spreads. From the 20th on, it attacks the White House website, trying to knock it offline. The White House has changed its numerical internet address to dodge the attack. Again, a news conference held by government officials and Microsoft scheduled for this afternoon here in Washington. Linda, back to you.
Mike Emanuel will be watching that, especially as it gets ready to attack tomorrow night. Straight ahead in the next hour of Fox News Live, the search for missing intern Chandra Levy is in a new week now. D.C. police just saying that they have just found a few new items, including a switchblade. We've got more details coming up. Also, we're keeping an eye on Congressman Gary Condit as he goes about his business on Capitol Hill today. Plus, a look back. It was one of the grandest weddings ever, the royal wedding of Prince Charles and Lady Diana. Today would have been their 20th wedding anniversary, and we're taking a look back. Also, moving on up, former President Clinton, moving into his Big Apple offices in Harlem. There you see a live picture. We're going to be live at the event. It's starting shortly, and we're going to take you there. That's way uptown in New York City. We're covering it next hour here on Fox News Live. Want to see a bright idea from Crest?
It's new dual action whitening.
It not only whitens your teeth,
It helps keep them whiter by repelling new stains.
for a smile that nothing can tarnish.
New dual action whitening from Crest.
Take away the sexy clothes and underwear and put on the silkiest thing of all, Caress Silkening Body Lotion. It can make every woman feel even more beautiful. Before you dress, caress.
Get out, you scum. X14 Soap Scum Plus foams away scum.
Herbal Fresh X14. Scum hates it. Noses love it. I don't have to vacuum to freshen my carpets. I've got Carpet Fresh No Vacuum. Foaming on. Odors are gone. The carpet's freshened with no vacuuming. Carpet Fresh No Vacuum.
I'm Father Time, and I like things that last a really long time. That's why it's 2,000 flushes for my throne. 2,000 flushes. We measure in months, not weeks.
No kid can resist the taste of rich chocolate Ovaltine.
Wow, this is great! So chocolatey. I love this chocolate milk. Is it Nesquik? No, it's rich chocolate Ovaltine.
Kids love Ovaltine's rich chocolate taste. And Ovaltine adds vitamins and minerals that Nesquik powder doesn't. Why give them Nesquik when you can give them more? And there are more vitamins and minerals in Ovaltine.
Ovaltine's awesome! More Ovaltine, please!
I've got diabetes, and I just call to get what I need delivered to my home. It's easy.
With Diabetic Supply of America, I get all my supplies with no out-of-pocket costs.
I don't have to stand in line at the pharmacy anymore to get my diabetic supplies. I save time and money. I love it.
I don't have to worry about those confusing forms. I just call and talk to real people.
I like the personalized service and the delivery right to my door.
We carry brand name products. Ordering diabetic supplies couldn't be easier. Call us today to see if you qualify.
Today on Fox News Live, from their fairy tale wedding to her very unhappy ending, get the inside story on Charles and Diana's stormy marriage. Plus, it's a cancer warning. Your food could be fatal. Find out why and how to protect yourself. Then she's hot, hot, hot. Survivor Jerry Manzi bears all for the pages of Playboy. That's today on Fox News Live.
Hi, I'm Edie Donahue. Tomorrow on Fox and Friends, how long can Gary Condit rely on support from fellow Democrats? Are the tides turning? We'll take a look. 7 a.m. Eastern.
Fox on top. Sorry. You know what? Before we get there, we've got one more thing to get to before the top of the hour. If you're a kid, summertime is supposed to be, you know, fun time. No school, lots of things to do. But it turns out that there is also some potential danger, and some of it could be right outside your house.
The summer months mean summer fun, in the backyard and by the water. But there are some hidden dangers you may not be aware of. Common household appliances can be hazardous and even deadly. It happened in the Midwest. 4 friends were playing on this water slide, soaking each other with water balloons, trying to stay cool. 2 of the boys then went into the garage and started playing with the garage door opener, when suddenly the door came down on 11-year-old Jared Galvin.
He touched the door, the garage door, and he got shocked. Your brother got electrocuted. Come over here and help out with what's going on.
Shortly after Jared's death, inspectors found there was a faulty ground in the garage's electrical system.
I do it.
And there are other potential dangers in the backyard. Child experts say just using common sense is the best defense.
Looking around at everything that you're coming in contact with in the summer months and figuring out how can this be dangerous for my child. I mean, a lot of it comes with the heat.
Like these metal kick plates on doors.
They can become really hot in the summertime, and if you have children that are crawling, you want to make sure they stay away from them.
If slides are in the direct sun, children should stay away from them.
Ouch.
Car seat buckles can burn if the car is not in the shade, so use caution.
Ow.
And metal chairs sitting in the sun can be scorchers.
If it's hot to the touch, then it's really going to be painful for a child.
Also potentially painful, garden hose water left baking in the sun can reach boiling temperatures. Child experts also advise kids to wear UV-protected sunglasses and always apply sunblock.
If there is no expiration date on the bottle, you shouldn't use it because it can expire. Then it's basically completely ineffective and you or your child can become burned.
I'm Penny Crone, Fox 5 News.